That is it. That is it. I was making this in the kitchen. My son was like, "Dad, you drink coffee?" I didn't before I had you. I'm joking. I'm joking. Parents can't be honest now. Now parents can't tell the truth, but in all seriousness, welcome back. Welcome back to Sunday Social Digital. And you might be asking yourself, what is Sunday Social? Sunday Social is my way, Royal Lamb's way, the platform's way of simplifying this thing that we call walking with God. What am I talking about? A lot of people have been introduced to God, but they never had the opportunity or took the chance to know Him for themselves. And our goal here is just to remove all the extra stuff, all the bells, all the whistles, all the business, the money. You can't join it. We don't collect money. We don't do, it is what it is. We just want to give you God. We just want to give you God. So that's what we're here to do, to spend a few minutes with you every Sunday morning. And hopefully it reaches you. Hopefully it touches you. Hopefully there's something that you resonate with without all of the extra fat, all of the extra bells and whistles. But yes, let's get right into it. How did we get to this place that we are in life right now? How do we get to, and for many of us, it's different. How do we get into this marriage? How do we get into this job? How do we end up getting into this career to where we wanted to make things happy and good for ourselves? Yeah, we wanted a good life. Yeah, we wanted a good family. But a part of the equation, a part of the reason in our decision making isn't always solely, can I even say holistically, for us. There are a lot of things that we do. There are a lot of decisions that we make. And these decisions are to make sure we're making other people happy in the same process to where we're supposed to be focusing on our happiness, our growth, our purpose, our calling. And there are too many times to where in relationships, well, we look good together, so we should just be together. There are too many times in social status, well, if I get this job, they'll be impressed with me and I'll be in, I'll be accepted. But what is this costing you? Like, how did you get to where you are right now? Did we think about just the outcome? Did we think about just the perception? Did we think about what people would think and say about us? And that was the main reason, if not the bulk of the decision for where it is we are now today. And it's the difference between cost, worth, and value. What is this going to cost you? What is it worth to you? And what value does it bring? I remember before we relocated from Cleveland, Ohio to Florida, there was a friend of mine, and he had a great job. He had a great job. I believe he was a pharmacist. And in just hanging out and getting to know him, he had a good life. I mean, homeboy made some money, like you could tell, and he would share that with you, not like bragging or anything like that, but he would share that, and he would say, like, this isn't what I thought it would be. And he actually said, this could be what I desired it to be, but I made the decision almost prematurely. And he was like, a lot of people look at my position and they know what I make, but they don't know what it takes. And a lot of times we're looking at what we will make from certain relationships, what we will make from certain social status, or what we will make from certain decisions. But are we looking at what it will take to stay there and to keep this thing going? And for a lot of us, we have made decisions that aren't fair to us. We have made uncalculated decisions. Now you're earlobe deep in this relationship, and you're like, how do I get out of this? If you're being honest, you're like, man, if I could rewind. There was a song. I'm not gonna do that to y'all, but if I could turn back time, I would find a way. And a lot of us wish we could turn back the hands of time. A lot of us wish that we could make decisions all over again. And are you slowing down to make calculated decisions before we end up in this position. I think it was, I forget the quote. I think he said it's easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. And what that is speaking to is preventative maintenance. And a lot of times what we will do is we will pat ourselves on the back and give ourselves kudos or celebrate or congratulate ourselves or other people on how well we handle problems and how well we fix problems. But what about the preventative maintenance? It's easier to raise a strong child than it is to repair a broken man, because now that you're having to repair it, the problems and the issues and the situations are already set in. So now you kind of like have to do the work to come all the way back to zero, go all the way back to the drawing board and see where it is we went wrong. But if we would have slowed down enough, to make a calculated decision, I know that my if we're going to be here, let's just be here and really have the real conversations. I know that my abandonment issues make me want a family or make me want to have a child, or there are two parts of us. I know this might not be the easiest to hear, but there are two parts of us. There is the healthy version and the traumatized version. There's the healthy version and the unhealthy version. And both of those versions of us want something for the reason that they want it. See, the healthy version of us may say, I want to make a lot of money. I want to make a lot of money so I can provide for my family, leave an inheritance to my kids, my grandkids and all that, stimulate the economy, employ people, and, just have a very good and stable way of living. But then there are some of us who have maybe not the best upbringing. Maybe our parents were paycheck to paycheck. Maybe we grew up knowing struggling. Maybe we grew up knowing lack. And in that, we grow up and we become successful, or we grow up and we start to make money or good money, but then we start to spend from an unhealthy place in our lives. And we are not just spending to live good, but we're spending to heal the broken child who never had anything. So now our money spending habits are unhealthy. They we're spending to flex, we're spending to let ourselves know we're safe and we're protected. So there are two versions of you. There's the healthy version of you that wants what it wants for the reason it wants it. And then there's the unhealthy version of you that wants what it wants for the reason it wants it. And a lot of times we are making decisions from a place in our life that we should have slowed down just a little bit. Because now we are finding ourselves in this situation, the broken hearts, broken minds, broken relationships, and we are trying our best to figure out how do I fix this? How do I go back? And this is what the Bible says. It is in Luke 14 and 28. And it speaks about what man doesn't sit down and count the cost before building. And a lot of us have built relationships that we haven't sat down and count the cost of what it would take and what is it going to take for us to maintain and keep this thing going. A lot of us have said yes to certain careers knowing good and well this has nothing to do with our passion, nothing to do with our calling, nothing to do with our purpose, but it made mom happy. It gets us kudos and pats on the back and all that. We are making decisions before we are sitting down and counting the cost of what it will take to build this career, what it will take to build this relationship, this mindset, the way we live, the way we think, the way we talk. And this is what it says. It says, but don't begin until you count the costs, for who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if they have enough money to finish it? And a lot of us have enough in us to start a lot of things, to start the relationship, to start the job, to start the mindset, to start the behaviors, to start the therapy. But did you sit down and count the cost of what it would take you to build it? Well, I want to get married. Marriage is not something you do. Marriage is something you build. Well, I want to start a business. A business is not something you start. A business is something you build. Well, I want to get into a relationship. Relationships will call you and cause and require you to be healthy. Are you ready to sit down and invest those costs into building healthy relationships? Are you sitting down to count the cost of what it will build you, of what you will need to have a healthy mindset, healthy relationships? Actually slowing down to heal so that every healthy person you get around doesn't trigger you. Luke 14:28. What man, what person, what mind, what heart, isn't it wise to sit down and count the cost before building anything? So now that once you're in it, you don't have to tear it back down or tear down important parts of it or tear down a big portion of it to build it the right way. What I encourage you to do today is to sit down and count the cost of what it is you desire out of your walk with God. Sit down and count the cost of what is it going to require you of your mind, of your heart, of your language, of your relationships, of your lifestyle. Do not say yes to something you have not sat down and count the cost before building, because a lot of us have built up ourselves and our lives in protection. And I can guarantee you this, if you are saying, I need to walk with God, I'm ready to walk with God, it's going to cost you. It is going to cost you. Are you ready to sit down and count the cost of letting go of trauma, letting go of depression, letting go of anxiety, letting go of being triggered, letting go of thinking everybody is out to get you? God don't need your money. God don't, it's not a tit for tat. This ain't that. All he needs is your mind and your heart. And I can guarantee you, if you sit down and count the cost of what it will take to walk with God, the return on that investment will be a lot more than you thought. I'm thankful that you took the time to sit here with us today and hear that hopefully this resonated with you in some type of way. Our goal is to connect people with purpose. My goal is to get people mentally and emotionally healed and healthy. And the best way to do that, is to seek God and his kingdom first. It is not who your grandmother introduced you to. Your relationship with God is your relationship with God. Leave all the bells and whistles to the side. You got to dress this way, walk this way, talk this way. Well, do I give the stuff you see on social media? Good God, stay off. I guarantee you, if you sit down and count the cost of what it would take you to build a relationship with God, you'll love the return on investment. Happy Sunday. See you next week.